Welcome everybody, we're just going to let the room fill up and we'll get started shortly. Thank you for your patience. Hello and welcome to everyone across the globe joining us for today's virtual partner bootcamp. If you have any audio issues, please send them in the Q&A tab and I'll be happy to assist you. If you have any questions for the presenters, please submit them in the Q&A tab and these will be answered at the end of the presentation. Slides and recording of this webinar will be posted to acquia.com and sent to you via email. Without further ado, I'll pass it over to Florian Schwedner.
Hello and welcome to today's virtual partner bootcamp session. My name is Florian, running the partner team out of Central Europe. I also want to welcome the people who joined from the US. Good morning to you. And let's go quickly through the agenda. Next slide, please. I'm going to start with some updates around the partner team, the organizations, and some hot topics. Then I'm going to hand over to Nigel, who will show us how our new marketing cloud looks like with our latest products, Azure One, Mautic, and Lift. We also have time for some Q&A. So if you have some questions, please post them in the Q&A field on the bottom. And we're going to wrap up with a Q&A, with a quiz. So look out for some nice prizes. Next slide. So who is your EMEA partner team? I introduced myself already. I'm based out of Munich, looking after the partners in Central Europe. We also have Sophie Cambercool with us. She's part of the EMEA South team. We have Daniel Mason running the partners out of UK, looking for Nordics. And we have Shania Thornhill, who is our partner marketing manager. Next slide. We do have some updates for you. I'm happy to share with you. Next slide. If we look at the Central European team, I'm happy to announce that we are fully staffed for the first time. We have some new hires that joined last month. We have a new marketing person, Regina. We have a BDR person that joined recently, Dean. We have an account executive, Onur, and we have an account manager, Karina. If you don't know them yet, please connect with them. I'm more than happy to help you here as well. Next slide. We also have the EMEA South team. It's a bit bigger. Sophie also joined recently. You should know her already. But we also have Marusa, who is part of the marketing team and looks for marketing in the region. Next slide. If we speak about the EMEA North team, it has been introduced already from Daniel last time, but I want to highlight again Anthony, who is the new Senior Director for Sales. You should all know him. If not, please reach out to Daniel. He's more than happy to get you guys connected. Next slide. We are having some quite interesting and hot topics I want to just highlight here. We are running an Adobe Compete campaign. Why? We know that there are a lot of Adobe Experience Management customers running on an extended support version. It will not be supported any further, and there will be no migration path. These customers usually have to completely rebuild their system, and it gives Acquia very good position to speak to these clients because Acquia is the only one who can deliver speed and agility, and we are based in a cloud. So if you do have Adobe Experience Management clients, we're more than happy to support you and build up with you the case. You all know that Drupal 9 will be launched soon. There are still a lot of customers using Drupal 7. Acquia can help you or can help these customers migrating smooth and easy. So if you know customers, if you work with customers on Drupal 7, please reach out to you. We are happy to help. Also, if you don't know our new marketing cloud story by now, we do run some dedicated promotion. I'm going to tell you in a second, and we're going to know more about these marketing cloud offerings within our demo. Next slide. How does our limited marketing cloud offer look like? Especially within our these COVID times, we decided to run a unique promotion for any customer that is looking for Mautic lived in Azure 1 and is interested for an at least 18-month contract, there will be no costs for the first 6 months. So if you have any customers, any client you think could be here relevant, speak to us. We are happy to help. Also, for new products like Azure 1, we are offering a no subscription cost for 2020 and free implementation services for the whole year. Please be aware, this offer is something that you shouldn't go alone. Please connect with us. We are here to support. Next slide. And as last time, we're happy to introduce that we do run a Q3 incentive for every new published case study. We are handing out a gift voucher from Amazon. It could be £100 or euro. So if you know any customers who is interested and happy to tell a nice story about Acquia, we are interested to support you with resources and of course this voucher. Next slide. And as mentioned already, stay and play. By the end of the session, we do have a quiz. So stay tuned, be curious. And if you make it to answer all the questions right, you might be the lucky one who get a prize. With that, I'm handing over to Nigel, who will now run us through the solutions and gives us, I would say, a better understanding of the marketing cloud. And I'm gonna jump in later on. So stay tuned.
Thank you very much, Florian. Hopefully everybody can hear me well. So good morning, good afternoon to everybody. So my name is Nigel Taylor. I'm a solutions consultant at Acquia in the EMEA region. And today I'm going to show you Acquia's marketing cloud. So today's demonstration is going to take us on a journey through the marketing cloud. But first of all, I'm going to talk about digital experience generally. And I know for this particular audience, you guys are going to understand this better than me, but it's important to align how Acquia see the world and the challenges that we're meeting so that everybody here is aligned. So we know that we're in the experience economy. Customers evaluate brands not exclusively on the products or their cost, but on the experience that they create for the audience. So customers form opinions of brand based on those experiences, and they make recommendations to others, of course, based on those experiences also. So really, in short, experience matters. So don't worry, I'm not going to be reading through each of these points, but I think they're important to underline, even in these challenging times, that digital experience and customer experience, it's going to be the foundation of any brand going forward, because we understand that there are going to be winners and losers in the experience economy. And the status quo as it stands right now isn't going to solve new problems. So if you produce more of the same, you're not going to produce better results. So this, in a nutshell, is Acquia's entire open digital experience platform. And the focus for today obviously is Marketing Cloud. And it's built on the Drupal cloud that you guys know and love. So all of our single site and multi-site hosting. But I'm just going to focus on the top section today. And I'm going to go through all of our value add solutions that are software as a service that sit on top of Drupal cloud. And I'm going to start from left to right on the boxes at the top. So these aren't product names, of course. You know, products names are great, but they don't actually tell you what a product does. So let's look at the value statements. What do these things actually do? So managing and coordinating digital assets, it's a dam, right? We have a lot of customers who have thousands upon thousands of assets, such as images and PDFs and videos. And it's very hard to apply governance to those assets. So the DAM allows them to put them into a single repository, allows them to apply things like workflow, gives them workspaces to collaborate both internally and with external partners. Next section across, understanding users and their demographics. So this is the ability to, using cookies, track how a user interacts with your channels. So if you think about what Google Analytics does, GA is great, but it gives you big buckets of information, right? So for each page, these are my demographics. What we do is we break that down to an individual granular level. So for every single user interacting with your sites, you understand how they're interacting with you. And that's important as we move across to the next section, which is the inbound personalized content. So this is people visiting inwards to your website. And based on the understanding of their demographics, you're able to then segment them and personalize content based on who you think they are. And of course, the more interactions that you have with them over time, the better you understand them and the more personalized that journey can become. Next one across is omni-channel outbound personalized content. So essentially this is outreach, right? So this is marketing automation, but also in a personalized content. It's the ability to use those same segments and create a message that is far more targeted to those segments than just generic email blasts. And this is also true, of course, for things like SMS or social feeds as well. And the one on the far right, possibly a little bit less relevant, but it's the ability to work with commerce solutions, right? So we see a trend in the market for headless e-commerce, where commerce transactions are happening across multiple channels, not just websites now. So CMS is obviously a great channel for commerce. And we have this headless framework, which is actually is free. It's just a framework, open source that Acquia have created. And it allows you to sort of embed React components that will interact directly with e-commerce solutions in a very efficient way. So the horizontal bar underneath all of that, the unified customer data journey orchestration and funnel progression bar, that's our CDP, right? So that's the ability to bring in customer data from all of these different channels and in fact other ones as well. So if you think about a retail scenario, you can also bring in things like point of sale information. You can bring in CRM information. You can actually bring in information from any disparate system, bring it all together so it can then be unified into a single customer profile. And from here, you can start to make decisions. And this is obviously our CDP, Agile One. It has its own machine learning capability, which I'll talk a little bit about later on. But it's the ability to understand the customer to the nth degree over time, and then orchestrate your journeys with those customers. And of course, it underpins every single one of those products on top. So these are the product names. Take them away. You probably already know and love them. And the focus for today, of course, is Acquia Lift, Mautic, and Agile One. So just to sort of give a bit of reference on this, Acquia have been investing in our value-add solutions for quite some time now, for 5 years, and some of you would have seen the early versions of Lift, etc. This year we've been rewarded for our investment. So Gartner have seen what we've done, and they've placed us firmly now in the leaders for their DXP Magic Quadrant. So, okay, let's get on with it and get into the demo. Let's take a look at Acquia Marketing Cloud. So Gartner defines customer experience as the customer's perceptions and related feelings caused by the one-off and cumulative effect of interactions with the suppliers, employees, systems, channels, or products. A little bit dry, but I guess it kind of explains it. But they also describe the two foundational elements of a customer experience, and that is perception and interaction. So I've tried to condense these into a few meaningful customer requests, if you will, that reflect their journey with a brand over time. So I've condensed today's customer journey into 4 simple stages, and I've called them lead, nurture, convert, and retain, and that's potentially different for each and every one of you guys. But each of these stages has their own steps, and this implies a complex solution, right? But the philosophy is simple. Customers want a personalized experience. Therefore, we must understand something about them. So this allows brands to talk to them with common ground, helping to establish that digital relationship. And so from here, the brand must provide a seamless interaction, not just for one conversion, but over the lifetime of that customer journey. Right, we're nearly there. So many of you may have been expecting the much loved Obio demo, but alas no, I'm afraid times are changing. And today's demonstration is about a company called Inspace. It's a fictional B2B office space rentals company. And they offer low-cost office space to small and startup companies in the form of membership subscriptions. And they recognize their customers' demographics, and they want to establish their brand and tailor it for their audience needs. So what you see in front of you is a simple customer journey I've designed that captures leads, nurtures them across multiple channels, and then ultimately converts them into a subscription, and then helps to retain them over time. And each of these stages has its own unique funnel and call to action. So we're going to go into a lot of detail on each of these stages at the end. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go into the demonstration, and we're going to take a look behind the scenes at each of those funnels and examine how Marketing Cloud enables the journey overall. So bear with me a second while I close down the screen here. And I'm going to open up an incognito window because my browser knows way too much about me. Okay, so in this particular scenario, I am a startup owner. All right, I've got my own startup company, and I'm looking for cheap office space that I can rent so I can, get my company off the ground. And I've done all the usual things, right? I've searched through Google, and I've been given a set of results, and I can see there a couple of ads that have been very much targeted at me, right? So they're looking at startup office space. And funnily enough, I've heard of Inspace through good reviews. So I'm just going to follow the link and land on the website. So first thing I notice is the site's really rather nice. It's quite modern, it's neat, and it's informative. But I'm also pleased to see lots of useful links and content for startups. And as I scroll down, I can see there's a whole bunch of stuff related to me here. It's a cool little website with fun plugins. But most important to me, I guess, is I'm looking for articles that relate to startup content. And you can see there's a bunch of things here that are useful. But this one here, how to scale a startup, is of particular interest to me. So I'm just going to follow through and start reading up. And yep, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, obviously, but as a potential prospect, I find some really useful information. So I continue reading, and as I scroll down, an focus item pops up, and it's suggesting that I take a free 3-day pass to explore the Inspace offices. So at this point, I feel that Inspace has been talking to me in a way that I understand and I expect. So I'm kind of compelled to take advantage of this offer. So I'm going to sign up, and I'm just going to hit here and reserve my spot. So let's talk and type at the same time. I'm just going to fill in my details. And all I'm really doing here is saying, yeah, you know what, I'm interested. I want to come visit your offices. I want to see your office space. Reserve me a spot. And then that's it. I'm on the tour schedule. So I've got some useful information details here, but I'm going to just literally have to wait until the day that I plugged it, I've asked for, and then I'm going to go visit those offices. So let's just come out of here just 1 second and go and see what's going on in the background. And we're going to look at this not from a technical standpoint, we'll look at that later, but this is from an Inspace sales perspective. So Inspace use Pipedrive as their CRM. And obviously this could just as easily be salesforce.com or any other CRM with APIs. And the Inspace sales guys can see that a new lead has been added today. You can see that at the bottom there, and it's been identified as a warm lead. That's just based on standard Pipedrive terminology. So from their perspective, the technology in the background is abstracted. All they know is that a new lead has booked a site visit and it needs to be nurtured. So this is a very simple example, as all I'm doing is changing the label for the lead, but it does emphasize that customer journeys need to be simple on both the customer and the brand side. So for them, the underlying technology doesn't matter. It's only really the end result. So let's go back to the prospects. So we can see that the prospect has booked their site visit, but that doesn't mean that they're actually going to actually come on the day. So they get an immediate confirmation email, and you can see that I've done a couple of test runs earlier today. But on the actual day of the visit itself, they're also going to receive a reminder email as well. All right, so this is going to give them a whole bunch of useful information on what to do when they arrive at the offices. And this can also easily be achieved through CMS or social, any of the outbound channels. But the intention here is to nurture, right? It's to gently persuade and remind to ensure that the prospect follows through and visits the site. So we're going to make an assumption here, right? So the next step is for the customer to physically visit those premises. So let's assume that they've gone and they've enjoyed the experience and they gave lots of positive feedback. So because of this, the lead is now at the top of the table because it's ordered by date. The label has changed to hot lead, right? So I used a little bit of trickery in the background. This can be done in a multitude of ways, right? You can do it manually, or you could think of a scenario where the feedback is taken during the day, and then it's fed back into the Agile One platform to determine the next progression for this particular lead. So essentially, what happens next, right? So we've nurtured the lead. We've gone from a warm to a hot. How then does Inspace convert? So in the past, as it happens, many leads with the same demographics have converted with a very simple technique. So Agile One determines the next best action is to offer a discount to this particular prospect because they're segmented into this category. So what happens then is a new campaign is kicked off and an email is sent to the same to the prospect. We go back in, we can now see that we've got a discount email. And if we look here, essentially they're being thanked for attending the tour, and they're being offered this time limited discount offer. So we're just going to make some assumptions again based on the prospect's demographic. We're going to say that they're tempted by the offer and they want to know more, right? So we're just going to click through on this link, go back into the demonstration. So the link clicks through to a landing page, and this landing page is tied down, right? It's very specific to the offer, so I can't see anything else but that. There's no other areas of the sites that are visible. All I can simply do is follow this link. And this directs me to the Inspace community sign up page. You can see on the left here, the sign up form is showing me the discounts. And there's plenty of other information on the subscriptions on the right hand side. So I'm going to say that in this particular case, I as a prospect, I'm convinced, and I've basically felt that the experience I've had so far has been great. So I'm going to take advantage of this offer and I'm going to subscribe as a customer. So that's it. it's a very simple progression, but essentially I became a lead, I've been nurtured, and now I've been convinced to convert and become a customer. So from Inspace's perspective, the next journey begins, right? They have learned over time that to retain their customers, they need to get them involved in their wider community to maximize their experience. So from here, they're going to continually nudge the new customer to get involved with the community by downloading the Inspace community app. So we're just simply being redirected to the welcome page here, but this could be any new visit to the site. You can also do it through gentle nudges using outbound channels, but Inspace have found that offering personalized content increases the adoption of the app. This is vitally important to them because this in turn maximizes their customer retention. So that's the end of the demonstration. It's a very simple example, but hopefully you have seen how brands can use the digital experiences to move prospects to customers across a journey that has multiple stages and multiple funnels. So let's take a look at how Acquia Marketing Cloud enables this. I'm going to switch back into the slide deck. So the first stage was to force an action that will capture a lead. All right, so what we saw was that Inspace had been spending far too much money on digital advertising. So they used the Agile One platform to target very specific segmented audiences for their advertising. That's to maximize click-throughs and reduce the spend. And this method has been very successful for them. Essentially the click-through puts them through to some personalized content. And then from there, we basically the user pushed through to an article and they were offered up the focus item to reserve the spot for the tour. So what's the technology in the background? As I mentioned, the actual lead contact, the Google ad, sorry, was segmented using Agile One and targeted at very specific demographics. And then once the user followed through on the link and hit the website, we created a record of that visit, right? So this is that tracking piece. So that particular anonymous user, so it's going to be by IP address at this particular point, they have a new record that's been created. But at the same time, we know that this is coming from a targeted ad aimed at startups. So we can actually personalize the website based off of that. So that's where the personalized content for startups came in. And then we saw that the user scrolled down and went through to the article. All we simply did from there is, and this could happen, you know, you could, the way you set this up is it could be just for a single page, or you could do it for multiple pages based on the segmentation. But all that happened is that as the user scrolled down, they were given the focus item and they were encouraged through a call to action to sort of click through and give their details. So I think it's probably important to emphasize here for you guys that your customers don't need to purchase all of Marketing Cloud to make elements of this happen, right? Each of these products is available individually, but the massive advantage that you'll have, of course, is if your customer matures over time, and let's say they start with Mautic for outbound communications and then move to Lift for inbound, and ultimately Agile One, all of these products are now sharing the same data using a 360 customer profile. So after a number of interactions, Inspace want to encourage an action so they can determine a lead into their CRM. So they're using Mautic to pop up a focus item as they read through the article, as we discussed. So this can be associated with any page that's relevant to the prospect. So we target and tracked the anonymous prospect, and we understand them based on their interactions with Inspace. The next stage is to capture and nurture this lead. So what we saw was once the form was submitted, the record was updated. That was updated in the back end for the customer 360 profile, but of course we also saw it being updated in Pipedrive. And then the confirmation email was sent out immediately. And then we kind of skipped a few days. There was a reminder message. And then the next logical step was that physical presence on tour. So how did we make that work? The form itself was a Mautic form. And they were basically pushed there by the call to action through the focus item. They obliged, they filled out their details, and they submitted. And then we can see once they did that, it caused a number of different actions. First, the user record was updated to reflect the transition from unknown anonymous user to known user. Essentially what happened is an email address was given, some personal information was given. So this is all updated alongside with the rest of their user interaction history over time. So what was essentially an IP address is now a prospect. So at the same time, again, we saw that that new lead was created in Pipedrive, right? We knew something about that individual and they've committed to something. So we gave them a status of warm lead. And I guess another point to consider here is the integrations to CRMs generally and updating leads in real time. So I use Pipedrive, and I did that because it's easy to use. And I integrated it with Mautic. So again, each of the products we're talking about today retains their own back-end integration, so they can still work individually. However, in time, Marketing Cloud is going to coordinate CRM integrations for multiple products. So this will help us avoid multiple integrations. So finally, the form submission triggered a campaign designed to nurture the lead through the site visit experience. So for the purpose of the demo, we condensed multiple stages over multiple days into a few quick emails. First, there was that immediate confirmation message that we see on the right here. Then, of course, there was the reminder on the day. And then finally, the prospect physically visited the Inspace offices. And this can probably be best described through the campaign mapping. So we can see, we can see in front of us here that at the top there, the Inspace tour sign-up form triggered a whole bunch of different actions. And let's take the ones on the right first of all. So we changed the contact status, right? So we said it's now a warm lead, and we pushed that into Pipedrive. And then we cheated. We waited for 2 minutes, and we just pretended that they'd arrived and they'd had an interaction and been there on the day. And then we changed them to a hot lead. On the left, very simply, we just gave them some points, right? So based on their interactions with us, we can assign points. So any campaign that you build here, you can start to score your prospects and also build out your evaluations of their lead status based on their scoring. And now right down the middle, we determined whether their preference was for email. So that was part of the form itself. We said, yep. So we waited a minute and then we sent the reminder email. So the actual confirmation email was part of the form itself. That went out straight away with all the summary of the details. A minute later, that reminder email went. And then again, we cheated, right? We kind of said, okay, we waited for another minute and sent out the discount email as well. You'll notice at the bottom as well, there's a few references to text. So SMS is built in here. We can, again, as part of that nurturing element, just if the customer is okay with it, we can start sort of pinging out text messages or social messages just to nudge them along and get them to actually visit on the day. So from here, we assumed the customer was ready to purchase, and the next step was to convert. So we were identified as a hot lead, therefore we were sent the discount email. And then following through there, we hit the landing page, which is very tied down. All we could do was go through and then go to the subscription page, and we were convinced by this personalized experience to actually sign up to the Inspace community. A little bit more detail. So the CRM identifies the qualified prospect based on the scoring and the other data inputs. So this triggers a special offer. All right, so this is basically saying we think that these guys are ready to purchase, and we're going to ping out a discounted offer based on what we know in the past for this particular demographic segmentation. And then clicking through to the email link, they actually arrived at the landing page. So not much to see there, right? But funnily enough, it was tailored to the discount offer, and it was hidden away from the rest of the site and search engines, right? So it's completely siloed, and it's only visible to those who are being offered the discounts. And then as the prospect clicks through, they are presented with the community membership page. Lyft personalized the submission form so that the discounts are available, right? So it's reusing the same form, but only offering the discounts where relevant, and it's only visible to those prospects being offered that discount. So all things being equal, Inspace created a journey that was convincing to this particular prospect. They signed up, and then of course they were converted to a customer. And again, the data in the single customer profile is updated, right? And then from there, of course, we consequently update the lead record in Pipedrive and show and label that particular lead as now a customer. So I guess I chose a simple option there, right? So essentially all I was doing in Pipedrive was just updating that label field. But there are different ways of sort of going about that, right? And this applies to any of the CRMs. As I mentioned previously, you could do it on point scoring, right? So you could really take an evaluation of your leads based on how many interactions you have with a prospect and how many points they score based on those. Or you can create stages, and you can do that in either Mautic or Agile 1. Create your own stages, and as a prospect matures through those stages, you can change the lead status and reflect that in the CRM. So the final kind of stage here is the retention phase. And I showed a very, very simple example because this actually can get very complex. But what we're saying here was that once they'd signed up, they got a welcome message. They had a welcome message in their inbox also, excuse me. And then from there, they just followed through that link and they landed on the landing page, and there was another personalization encouraging them to get the app. So the point here really is to sort of emphasize that because Inspace saw the app as vital to customer retention because they had evidence to prove it, they wanted to encourage their existing customer on a continual basis, gently nudging them towards the app. So it's just one example. How do we go about that? Well, the welcome page is pretty simple, but it was showing an individual personal ambassador that was assigned to that one new customer. And then they had their welcome message, again, very, very simple and straightforward. But then clicking through from the actual landing page, we arrived back at the home page, and we'd use Lyft again to personalize the slot. Now, again, this can be an ongoing process. So the strategies involved here can be potentially quite complex. So with this in mind, you can put in place a number of strategies and measure them over time. Because the reality is that each brand is going to have different strategies to retain their customers, and it's going to be an ongoing process for them. So this is why, you know, the mini circle at the decision stage is there, because for the customer, the decision to stay or go is going to be an ongoing process. So Acquia Marketing Cloud is designed to ensure that over a lifetime, the customer journey is logged and measured so that it can be understood fully. Data from any system can be integrated into the single view of the customer to augment brand understanding of their customers. So step outside the B2B example we've just given. If you think about retail, you could bring in point of sale information, right? You could bring in CRM information as well. And Agile One has that capability to tidy up that data and bring it into that unified view of the customer. And that could be across different email addresses. It could be across different physical addresses. And of course, there could be other sort of customized systems that hold customer data as well. That can all be brought in and tied up in that customer 360 profile. And of course, you probably are aware that Agile One offers machine learning capabilities. And I think that's a subject that you could spend a whole hour on in itself. But you imagine in the sort of B2C world, the ability to auto segment customers and prospects based on their behavior. And of course, that's based on the behavior of others if you know how machine learning works. So for example, you can offer up to any individual user the next best action. So what the machine learning thinks is the next best action to push this prospect down the funnel. And in our case, it was to offer the discount, right? The other sort of really interesting one is most likely to purchase. So based on this particular prospect segmentation, we have found using machine learning that if they buy product A, products B, C, and D are also very, very relevant. So they are the things that we want to show them next, right? So there's a whole range of different strategies that can be added to here. And of course, if you're thinking journeys over a lifetime, then personalized content becomes even more relevant, right? And that's true inbound and outbound. And obviously over time, your understanding of this particular prospect is going to mature. Your content rendering can be a lot more targeted. And again, it's all about making sure that the customer's happy, they feel satisfied you're talking to them, and that they're in a digital relationship as such, and they will stay over time. So in summary, Marketing Cloud, each of these products is available individually, but they share that customer 360, right? They share a single view of the customer. Individually, they're very powerful in terms of Mautic being a great tool for personalized outbound campaigns. Lift is fantastic at personalized inbound campaigns, and Agile One is fantastic in consolidating customer data and tidying it up and bringing in that unified customer profile. But bring them all together and you have a single platform that can deliver customer journeys and customer digital experiences over time. Just a reminder about what we're trying to achieve here at Acquia. Our goal is to make it easier to create great digital experiences, and our vision for you guys is to deliver the universal platform for those world's greatest digital experiences so you can offer this to your customers. Okay, thank you very much. That's the end of the demonstration. I'm going to hand it back now to Florian.
Thanks, Nigel, for this very interesting insight. Now we do have Q&A. I have seen that there was a question already and Daniel answered them. But I'm happy to take more questions. Please use the Q&A field. So I would suggest to wait a little moment. Are there any questions?
Florian, it might be worth just answering and reading out Eric's question, because I think it was private to the panelists.
Okay. So the question actually was from Eric. Is there a concept of a campaign spanning the Marketing Cloud tools? So an interface from Lift and Mautic to understand the concept of this journey? Or is each step in a journey created piecemeal? The answer was, currently Marketing Cloud is an essential individual products with their own campaigns and personas. The future will be exactly as Eric says, Azure One acting as the brain and utilizing Lift, Mautic, and the other tools to orchestrate the journey campaign. Yeah, and we expect AMC is, Daniel, what is that?
Acquia Marketing Cloud, sorry.
The Marketing Cloud to be unified under one single UI in 2021. So in summary, yes, the goal is to have one Marketing Cloud with one pricing, but just different functionalities, and Azure One acting as the brain.
Just to sort of throw in there as well, Florian, what you guys saw today is, I've kind of got like a pre-release version, but what you're seeing today is the first step in that integration where the data is shared, right? And I think that's a massive step in itself. I used a different combination of strategies to build out my journey. And I did that within the individual products, but I was able to use that across a shared data platform. To Florian's point, you know, if you invest in all these products to build out journeys, if you're serious about it, then it's all going to be done through Agile One eventually.
Okay, thank you. There are more questions popping in right now, so I'm going to start with the first one. It's about the sandbox. Gopinath is mentioning, without a sandbox version, we will not be able to explore the active product features. Is there any goal, any plan that partners will have access to a sandbox? The answer that I can give, yes, we do have sandbox environments for Lift and for Mautic. You can most likely do it on a self-service basis, especially for Mautic. For Lift, you have to reach out to your partner manager. For Azure One, we plan to launch a sandbox environment soon. Currently, there is no sandbox available. That's true. Another question from Lovely Buddy. Do you have any examples, case studies, where a customer has a multi-language website and is using all these products together? For example, here in Germany, like in the demo. To be honest, I'm not aware of any customer using all products from the Marketing Cloud. I mean, it's fairly new. Azure One has been launched in, I think, early January. So in Germany, we don't have a customer or a case study that actually combines all of the free products. I don't know, Nigel or Daniel, if you have any customers in your region.
So there's nothing that's come out through official Acquia channels at the moment. I mean, obviously pre-sales, I get all the back channel gossip. And I know for a fact that we've got a lot of customers in Agile One that are also Drupal customers, right? So they've got bits and pieces of some of the Acquia offerings, but not all three. So we're working on that. We're trying to get a customer to do this. And I'm interested in your guys' responses to some of the questions that we put forward as well.
Another question or reply from Gopinath is why Cohesion and Azure One Sandbox is not available. Indeed, there is a Cohesion Sandbox available also on a self-service basis. If you have struggled to find it, reach out to your partner manager. Azure One is something that we are working on at this moment. A question from Piyush. Is the product customer journey still part of the Marketing Cloud? If not, what has replaced it?
Are we talking about journey? Yes.
Journey, actually,
yes, yeah. No is the short answer. And it's being replaced with a combination of Mautic and Agile One, and small elements of Lift, but mostly Mautic and Agile One.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Vincent. Do you need your website to be based on Drupal in order to use Lift, Azure One, and Mautic?
No, is the answer. Obviously, Lift is optimized for Drupal. So, you know, if you were going to use Lift on a Drupal site, you're going to get support from Acquia. If you decide that you want to use it via an app or a non-Acquia site, then we'll help you out as best we can, but it's not officially supported. Mautic is designed to stand alone, right? It's got its own official Drupal plugin, which makes life a lot easier. Again, it's designed to integrate with Drupal easily. So you can do your site tracking and building out your forms, and it makes life a lot easier. But again, you can embed everything that you do in Mautic into other sites as well. And Agile One, even though we're integrating it directly into the Marketing Cloud, it's very much a standalone solution. So you can just, I mean, it's an enterprise tool. Let me state that right now. Agile One is an enterprise tool for larger customers who want to invest in understanding their customer data. And I think I mentioned the fact that it can take in point of sale information, taking any data from payment systems to sort of customized bespoke systems. So yeah, I mean, it's probably worth, if you haven't seen any of the Agile One webinars, to take a good look and to get a good understanding, or just ask, just ping us and we'll have a session.
Yeah, I think especially for the new Marketing Cloud, there was some sessions I've done with the partners in my region about the compete. Also, I've done sessions around Mautic and Agile One. If you need some more information, reach out to me, Daniel, or Sophie. We're happy to actually share with you the content.
I'd like to know, am I the only one drinking?
I
I thought it was a happy hour. Cheers.
Another question from Anderson. Is it possible to generate a real-time personalization at scale for our emails in Mautic using Lift? I mean, instead of creating multiple workflows to treat multiple possible paths and user journeys, create only one dynamic deliverable that will rely on the user's data to personalize the email. Long questions. Did you get it, Nigel? Otherwise, I can repeat that.
Yeah, I think I got it. So it's a case of, can I build a single template that changes based on those personalizations? Yeah, I can't say too much, but I mean, as it stands right now, Mautic is more designed. You can do elements of that. And I'm happy to talk to the individual offline because it's a longer conversation. But that's the aim of the game in the long term. From a programmatical perspective, right? You don't want to be doing this via UIs. If you're doing this at scale, it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, it's an offline conversation. There are elements of it in there right now, but not all of it.
Okay, thank you. Another question that is coming from Anderson is Acquia prepared to handle personalization in SPAs? I'm
not sure what SPAs are.
Yeah.
Single page applications.
Yeah.
Thank you. SPAs. Awesome. It was the accent flew me, Florian. Sorry. Yes. So yeah, the short answer is yes, right? So, you got your React stuff or whatever at the front end. You can use that with Lift. Like I mentioned before, it's the same as an app, really. As long as you adhere to the Lift APIs, it will work. It's just that, we probably won't support it as such if you run into trouble. But, we can always do a bit of consulting for you and help you through with best practice. My front end skills are absolutely rubbish, so don't ask me.
Okay, another question. I think the last one from Hatch. You've got some great products that are getting you close to direct compete with Adobe Marketing Cloud. There's been a lot of changes, though, and not a huge amount of time to bed them in. What does success look like for you with a Marketing Cloud over the next 12 and 24 months?
I guess we could all answer that one. I'll take my go first, yeah?
Go ahead.
Absolutely. We are looking like we're going to complete with Adobe, and there's a lot more to come. I've been with Acquia for a year, and I joined because it's such an exciting company and it's growing so fast. And the product set just blew me away. That was a year ago. And since then, we've obviously acquired Cohesion. By the way, all of that demo was built in Cohesion, Agile One and Mautic. So yeah, what you saw today was a pre-sales, pre-release version of the customer 360, right? It was sharing customer data across all three products. That's a fantastic start. I think Dan mentioned that we are going to be building out all the other different elements into the Marketing Cloud as we progress. I can't say too much about sort of product pipeline or acquisitions, because product pipeline obviously is private to Acquia, and they don't tell me about acquisitions, right? I'm not that important. But from my perspective, I'm looking forward to all of these products being joined up into a seamless experience. And yeah, I think, you know, we're going to really, you know, compete with Adobe at that global level, and particularly at the enterprise level from now on.
Maybe let me add, or my partner's perspective view on that question is, I joined around 6 months ago, coming from SAP. So I think all big players are telling the same story of, in a way, like we are a DXP, we can offer everything, dear customer, mostly in the large enterprise segment, but they are not open source. And I really like the story that Acquia is building up the same kind of strategy, but with a huge difference that Acquia says, we are open source, we are cloud first. And there's a huge, I think, trend in the market that customers are seeking for more agile, flexible, simple, and cheaper products. They don't want to buy Adobe, SAP, or Salesforce for $1 million anymore, and it takes them 2 years until the product is some kind of live. We see it now with Adobe. There are a lot of customers having problems with Adobe Experience Management, and this is quite new for partners and customers, that Acquia is a relevant alternative to speak with. This is a really, really cool story.
It's a great point. Just to emphasize, I built that demo in a week, so just underlines your point.
Good example. 3 questions left. Buddy, again, do you, Acquia, have training programs for the marketing managers using these tools? I think there will be training programs being launched soon. I know that we're working on certification programs and other programs, but this is all, I would say, work in progress. At this moment, it's just...
There's definitely certification programs, right, for Lift and for Mautic that are there. I'm not sure about Agile 1. I think that's coming through very, very quickly.
Yeah, so there's certifications on Lift, which is very much focused towards marketers. There's also with Cohesion, our sandbox. I know we didn't speak about that today, but that is very much focused on site builders rather than back-end developers. And with Mautic, we have onboarding training when people invest in that tool, which again is focused on building out campaigns and managing the platform. So yeah, we do have sort of programs set up.
I'm hearing that we are actually running out of time. There are 2 questions left. I'm happy to answer them on a private basis, so we will come back to you. Would love actually to wrap it up with our quiz. And yeah, look up, and the best one will get a prize. So there will be questions popping up here. Please answer them as best as you can. I think there are 5 to 6 questions, and would take you like maximum 2 minutes, and then we should be good to go. So in the meantime, like while you're answering the questions, we do plan another virtual bootcamp that has been set up by us and maybe hopefully done by Sophie, because we are flipping in between of the 3 of us. We do think about topics like compete, because as like being asked, I think there are a huge amount of questions and topics around the market where Acquia is positioning himself. So we're going to cover this one in our next session. It will be June, so look up for an invite from Daniel, Sophie, and me. If you have any other questions during the time, we are here, as said, to help you and to drive business with you. With that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks for your time and enjoy your Friday afternoon and stay healthy.